Hello and welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep IAS. Let's begin the daily quiz for today with question number 1 on your screen. Which of the following is a most grown Kharif pulse in India? Arhar, Moong, Urad or Moat? Which of these pulses is grown in the largest quantity in India? The correct answer here is A. Arhar. It is the Arhar dal or the Arhar pulse that is grown in the most quantity. It's a difficult question to answer. The data for which we have taken from this article in the Indian Express today, which talks about the different Kharif crops, as in rice, pulses, coarse cereals, oil seeds, cotton, sugarcane, jute, etc. And also, what is the area that is sown under these crops individually? As you can see, Arhar is actually right there at the top amongst the Kharif pulses. The article here focuses on the fact that the monsoon has revived in India, as a result of which the area under the Kharif crop has increased. However, rice and arhar, two of those commodities which are sold at a large scale in India, are still not at the level that they were expected to be. As you can see here, in terms of rice and in terms of arhar, the number is much lower as compared to the last year of 2021. And that is why there is a concern and the government is working towards it. Next, question number 2. Consider the following statements with regards to CAATSA, that is Countering America's Adversaries Through Sanctions Act. Number 1. It is a US federal law enacted in 2017. Second, the act empowers the US president to impose at least 5 of the 12 listed sanctions on persons engaged in a significant transaction with Russian defense and intelligence sectors. Third, the US Senate was given the authority in 2018 to waive CAATSA sanctions on a case by case basis. Which of these given statements is or are correct? The answer here would be A. 1 and 2 are correct about CAATSA. The third statement is wrong because it is not the US Senate. It is actually the American president that has been given the authority to decide on a case to case basis whether or not he would like to waive off the CAATSA sanctions. It has been in the news for quite a long time, ever since India placed the order for the S-400 missile defense system from Russia, because this meant that India could also have to face sanctions from the US under the CAATSA law. As you know, the CAATSA law specially imposed sanctions on Iran, North Korea, and Russia, and any country which has significant transactions in terms of defense with these nations would also have to face sanctions. India has decided to go ahead with the S-400 missile defense deal with Russia, and the good news why this particular topic is in the news is that the US House of Representatives, at the lower house, has passed a voice vote of legislative amendment which has approved giving waiver to India against the CAATSA sanctions for our purchase of the S-400 missile defense system, understanding that this is a necessity considering the region where India is located. Next, question number 3. Consider the following statements with regard to the SCO, that is Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Number 1. China, Russia and 4 Central Asian states, that is Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan, were the founding members of the SCO. Second, the group will soon induct Iran and Belarus as members as well. And third, Varanasi has been selected as the SCO region's first tourism and cultural capital. Which of these given statements is or are correct? Now, this seems like an easy question to answer, but it can be tricky with respect to the specific names of the nations. The correct answer here is B. 2 and 3 are correct. The first statement is wrong because the fourth Central Asian nation here is not Turkmenistan, it is actually Tajikistan. So there were 6 founding members, China, Russia and 4 Central Asian nations, but the fourth one is not Turkmenistan but Tajikistan. Second and the third statements are correct. The reason why we are discussing this question is because of this news in the newspaper today. That is, Iran and Belarus are said to be the newest full-time members of the SCO. The news story says that China and Russia specifically are looking to expand this organization to act as a counter to the Western nations that have their own organizations such as NATO, G7, etc. That is why this group has become extremely significant. As you can see here, China, Russia, 4 Central Asian states were the founding members, while India and Pakistan joined the group in 2017 which was the first round of expansion. It was in last year's summit that the nations agreed for Iran to join, while Belarus also has begun the membership process. As you would know, Belarus is a unique country and is considered as the only remaining dictatorship in Europe. The reason why Belarus has been able to survive without a lot of good relation with the Western nations is because it has always been supported by Russia. You can also see the critical role that Belarus has played in the beginning of the Russia Ukraine war. Next, question number 4. As per the United Nations, 3 million children in India missed the DTP dose in 2020 because of the pandemic. In this context, what is DTP? Is it diphtheria, tetanus, pertussis? Is it diphtheria, typhoid and pertussis? Diphtheria, tetanus and polio? Or diphtheria, typhoid and polio? The correct answer here would be A. When we say DTP, we usually mean diphtheria, tetanus and pertussis. These are the 3 deadly diseases against which the UN says that a lot of children missed their dose in 2020. That is the first dose. But the report of the UN also says that India is fast catching up and ensuring that the Mission Indradhanush program, under which the children are given vaccination at an all India level, actually covers all these children. The article says that globally, percentage of children who received the 3 doses of vaccines against the DTP fell by 5 percent points to 81% between 2019 and 2021. This is considered as the largest sustained decline in the childhood vaccination in 30 years. And as you would imagine, the COVID pandemic had a major role to play in this sad decline. This report specifically has been given by UNICEF because this is the arm of the UN that focuses on child welfare. The report also says that globally 2.5 crore children missed out on 1 or more doses of DTP through their routine immunization services in 2021 because of the global lockdown. This is 20 lakh more than those who missed their dose in 2020 and 60 lakh more than in 2019. Next is a previous year question from 2021. With reference to India, Didwana, Kuchaman, Sargol and Khatu are names of glaciers, mangrove areas, Ramsar sites or saline lakes. The correct answer here is D. All these are actually examples of saline lakes that were in the news in that particular year. These are usually lakes that have a large amount of saline in them. An example of this can be Didwana, which is in Nagaur district of Rajasthan. I'm sure all of you would recognize Nagaur district when you read the Panchayat Raj chapter, with Nagaur setting up the first panchayat in India's independent history. This particular lake is a famous saltwater lake of Rajasthan and is about 4 km in length and 3 km in breadth. The Kuchaman Lake, as is mentioned in the question, is also a continental saline lake located around the Kuchaman city in Nagaur district of Rajasthan. Next, we have a fact of the day, and today's interesting fact in Indian Express newspaper is about a very famous and controversial Olympian, that is Jim Thorpe. Now, Jim Thorpe has long been regarded as one of the best ever all-round athletes that the world has ever seen. In fact, in 1912 Olympics, he won the gold medal in pentathlon and decathlon. Pentathlon, as the name suggests, is a group of 5 sports taken together, and decathlon is a group of 10 sports taken together. Now, the problem was after he won the gold medal, there was a controversy against him and he was stripped of his gold medal. The controversy was that he has broken the amateurism rule of Olympics. Now, what exactly was this rule? See, when Olympics initially began, it was decided that we should have an even playing field in Olympics. Meaning that it was considered there are 2 types of athletes. One type of athletes who actually take sports as a hobby, and other types of athletes who are actually professional athletes who get money to play this sport throughout the year. Olympics originally was regarded as a competition where only those people should compete who have taken sports as a hobby, so that the competition is actually even. Those people who have been playing this sport professionally, meaning that people who have been getting money to play their sport even before the Olympics were actually not allowed to participate in the Olympics back then. That was called the amateurism rule. That is, the amateurs, those who only play as a hobby, are allowed to participate, but those who play the sport as a profession and are getting paid for the same should not be allowed. This is where controversy started, because soon after he won the gold medal, there was a news that came out that he had actually been paid to play minor league baseball for 2 seasons in the US. And that is why he was stripped of his gold medals, and this was regarded as the first major international sports scandal. He also made the news because he was the first Native American to actually win the Olympic gold medal. Later on, when the rules were changed, the IOC, that is the International Olympic Committee, decided to give the medal back. In fact, in 1982, 29 years after he had passed away, the committee gave duplicate gold medals to his family, but the Olympics records were still not changed. Now, finally, the Olympics records have been changed, and he is again regarded as the sole winner of the gold medal of 1912 Olympic Games. This is why it has been in the news. There's a statement released from the IOC president, that is, we welcome the fact that thanks to the great engagement of the Bright Path Strong, a solution could be found. Bright Path Strong is a non-government organization that has been fighting for supporting these kind of candidates who have been done wrong by because of these rules that we have had. This is it for today's daily quiz video. Thank you so much for watching.